Hello and welcome to the Sideline Live podcast. My name is Orla Keeling and I am the host of the podcast, where every week we bring you a brand new episode with guests ranging from Olympic champions to local heroes, coaches, support staff and anybody involved in the world of sport. Each week we will dive into different topics, including current affairs in sport, identity, skill, mindset, coaching, and also shine a light on those flying under the radar. So tune in for brand new episodes, new stories, and new insights you've never heard before. This episode is proudly sponsored by Sport Expo Ireland. Taking place at the Sport Ireland campus on April 21st and 22nd, 2027, attendees will hear from leading voices in sport, take part in interactive workshops and masterclasses. To learn more and register your interest, visit sportexpo.ie, which is linked in the description of the episode. Now, let's hear from today's guest. Delighted to be joined by Clinton Efinda. Clinton, great to have you. Tell us a little bit about your story. What are you up to these days?
First of all, I appreciate you having me on. Right now I'm still at UNCG right now. Still training and working out before I go back to New York and work out and train before I get on campus at Canisius University.
Okay. How did you get to where you are now? Give us your basketball is your sport. We have a couple of non-basketball people as well, which is important to give them the context. But How did you get to where you are today? Give us the quick whistle-stop tour.
So I probably have to go back since I was very, very young. My older brother played basketball back home. Was very good while he was playing, and I was just always around the game. And I played every sport growing up. So but basketball was just always that one sport that was just very, easy for me. It just came very natural to me. And it was just, I always just felt like a little bit more, I had more of a love for it. Even though it wasn't as big for kids when I was coming up. So that was a little different for me, but also having family members like in the States that I would spend time with in the summer always kept me around the game. And it was really the first thing in my life that I enjoyed working hard on. And it never felt strenuous. Even if I'd have a hard training session or if I had to do, extra running or extra lifting or something like that, it just always just felt, fun for me. And then it was if I would watch it, talk about it, read about it, I would just always get the urge to play. And I knew at a very young age this was something I wanted to do. And I knew that, in order for me to get to, where I want to go eventually, I would have to, make that jump and go over to the States. So that was always a goal of mine as a kid. And, growing up and playing and making the Irish team and playing with those guys, and then, being seen by a couple coaches from Lawrence Woodmere Academy when I was probably about 14. I introduced myself. That's a whole funny story. And I ended up getting connected, through there, and they kept their eye on me. And when I came home from the national team, I got that call, and then I made that jump over to the States in 2019. I was 15 years old, and I just worked my way up relentlessly, trying to, get a Division I scholarship. And I did the whole, 4 years in high school, and, finally got my first offer summer of 2022. And I ended up committing to UNBC, ended up decommitting, ended up getting hurt, then going to JUCO for a year in Iowa. And then after I did that, then I ended up at UNCG after one season. So my story's been all over the place. So
Yeah, lots to unpack. Are you the first Division I basketball player from Naas?
Oh, I would for sure. I haven't really heard anybody else, but I would definitely say that. Like that's something I take pride in. Like anywhere where anybody asks me where I'm from, they'll try to say Dublin or whatever. I'm like, nah, I was born there, but I'm from Naas, you know. So um, I always like to represent that, and that's something I hold very 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 proudly to my heart for sure.
Yeah. You've lost the accent though. Kind of
Yes.
disappointed, you know. But in fairness, you've been there since you're 15, so I'll give that to you, you know.
Yeah, I mean, like I tell people like a lot. Like I spent all my summers since I was 2 years old over here in the States. So like my accent was never like was super strong. I've always kind of had a little bit of a blend. And then when I came over here, um, I haven't been home. Like I came home once and I was in 2020 and I haven't been home since. So it's just like, yeah, I just lost it. But I know if I came home for a week, I'll get right back. You know what I mean? So yeah,
Fair enough. I'll give you that. What's the when you were growing up out of interest? Like you know, Naas Kildare is not a basketball stronghold when we compare it to Dublin or Limerick or Cork.
no.
What's the culture? What was the culture like in basketball when you growing up? Were you a little bit different from your peers? It's very much a GAA area. Were
Yeah, it
you?
is. Like,
Yeah, and in fairness, they've done very well in GAA. Not to
yeah,
discredit them, but you were probably a
yeah,
little bit of the. Not to say you stuck out from the crowd, but probably did hold in the basketball in Naas.
yeah. Like it was. I mean, I played guy growing up, so it was just like that's just when you live in Ace, like that's just what you know what you do, whatever. And you know, play that was like that was honestly like I there was a point in my life where I enjoyed playing guy more than I played like playing basketball. It was just so fun because everybody was just playing it, and it was just so competitive. And like basketball wasn't as competitive, you know. And um, I probably say I started playing like for a team like in fifth class, like for my primary school, and then I played like one tournament with Nace. Nace had a basketball club, and it was very very small. I played one tournament, and I ended up moving to a team in Newbridge because the coach see me there and he just poached me like right away. And I played, but we were always playing like you know other teams in the Midlands area, and then we'd always go to tournaments like Cork and stuff like that. So I was always playing like up in age too. Like I probably was on the team since I was like 11, so I was probably playing under 14s then, and then the next year I was playing under 16s, and then I would train under 18s when I was like 12. So I was always playing like you know older guys, and then I probably would say a couple of years after that, I ended up going to Tempelo because I kind of just, you know, outgrew just the competition there. And my brother was just like, this is just the next, you know, the next step because like the Dublin League was just way better. And but it was definitely like times like you kind of feel like an outlier in a sense, but at the same time, like a lot of my friends love playing basketball too. It just wasn't, it just wasn't the, you know, the main sport or whatever. It wasn't as big, it wasn't as pushed. So that's why like not more people played it, but people, I don't know, like it was just what it was.
Yeah, no, they do, and why I ask that is because I know there's a lot of younger kids now that might not be from a very much a traditional basketball area,
Yeah,
which is really cool to see other areas kind of love the game, and I
yeah,
just see clips of kids, you know, down the country in different parts playing
yeah,
basketball wearing full GA kit, and I just love
yeah,
it because it's not the sport of their area, but it's they love basketball. I think the NBA has changed that as well.
yeah.
When did you start to realize I'm good at this and maybe I can maybe look for maybe an Irish team or maybe look to go abroad?
Probably when I probably say probably like I was 12, like because when I played in fifth class, like I kind of had this arrogance that I was kind of just gonna just walk in and just be better than guys because you know my older brother like you know would train me sometimes and um I was just you know naturally just better at basketball but I got you know if you don't humble yourself the game will humble you very quick so I got humbled very quick and I didn't you know play the way that I you know anticipated I was going to play and I kind of just you know forced me to kind of just you know step back and realize I got to actually um, you know work hard you know even though that I might be more talented than guys I still got to work hard to be good and to you know win games And that was a big thing for me going into that summer. And I was like only 11 years old, thinking I got to train in the summer to help my primary school team win a championship, and that's and I did that, and I came back, and I came back from Ohio that summer, and I was just like light years, just way better than I was, and we didn't lose a game that year. Like it was like the first time, like I was like, wow, like when you like work hard, like and you see those results like months down the line, like it's like the most fulfilling feeling. And it's just like that kind of allows you just to like trust the process at like a young age, and you're not even realizing that's what you're doing. And I probably would say like after that year, I was just like, okay, like this is what I want to do. Like and from that point on, like I just even though I was playing other sports, I didn't like quit other sports probably till like 2 years later. But I was just like, yeah, this is it. This is my main sport for.
I love that. I don't know many fifth class students that think that way. So you were certainly built different. Did
Yeah,
your brother play out of interest? Would he been on club teams and stuff like that?
yeah. He played for Naas when like in the early 2000s when they were actually pretty good, and he won a couple championships with CBS on the basketball team there. Um, and he was on the Irish team panel at one point too. So he played, but he got hurt when I was younger. Like we're 13 years apart. So like when he was around my age, maybe a little earlier than that, he hurt his shoulder, and then he stopped playing, and he kind of just poured into me after that.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. And do you think, in terms of, you moved to the States when you're 15, we've got a lot of kids here that want to play and want to look to go abroad. Just
Mhm.
from a developmental point of view, was there anything you did, whether it was your brother or club level in Ireland before you went, that you look back on, you're like, oh, I'm really glad I did that?
I'd probably just say like putting myself in environments that I could just play against other people. I think at such a young age, you don't really know your game. You don't like your game is just so raw and it's just so able just to be like molded. So it's like the best way for you to figure out how to learn your own game or learn to the essence of just winning a basketball game. Like you got to play against other people. And that's something that I did like a lot in the summers when I used to go spend time with my family out there. Was me and my cousin. We would go to the YMCA, and we would just go spend all day there, and we would just play just against anybody, like people our age, older than us, older grown men, like it didn't matter. We would just play all day, and then that's how you just get better and you learn, and like you can dribble in front of cones and all that stuff, but it's different when you play against actual people because you're able to translate those things that you are doing in them drills. Like it's cool like to do the drills and stuff like that, but play more when you're young, and then by the time that when you get to like 13, 14, that's when you can start working on the individualized workouts and all that stuff. But the most important thing is it's just playing. Like a lot of kids, they just want to just work out, get a trainer, work out, and then they get to the game, they wonder why it's not translating. You got to just play. And play against older people too. Like just even when they're playing on their club team, like play as much as you can. Like that's the big thing, just playing.
I've asked a couple of people this question, and I've got some good guests on from the States. One of them being AZ Fudd's dad, Tim, who
Yeah,
coaches, and we were talking about the development of players in Europe versus America,
yeah,
and he had the American perspective of it, and I'd love for you to give the Irish perspective of someone who's been born here and played here and then went to
yeah,
America and played high school in AAU, which is very formative. I'm just
yeah.
interested in, what do they do well in America and what do you think they can improve on?
I would say like what they do well here is just they got a culture of being in the gym, like every day. Like there's just a culture, like whether now when you're in the gym and the work that you put in while you're in the gym, that's a whole different conversation. But they're gonna be in the gym, they're gonna be in the gym like every day, and that's just the culture. And like whether you're getting work done or not, that's a whole different thing. But um and it's all year and it's nonstop, and I would say, something that that they could get better at is also like kind of just simplifying the game in terms of focusing on the fundamentals. Like I feel like a lot of kids coming up here, like they want to do all the fancy things right away and and just have crazy handle, be able to break somebody down right away. And then as they get older, they can't really play on a team where they're forced to be in a system or whatever because they don't really learn how to play basketball. They just have crazy skill. But like Europeans, they're always going to know how to play basketball because from a young age, they're being trained with the fundamentals only. And then as they're getting older, then their own game forms around it. That's why, like a lot of these colleges, they're bringing guys from Europe that have been playing pro since they're 14, 15, and they have them fundamentals and you can put them into your system. Like a lot of these schools, like now, like they take a lot of sets and systems from EuroLeague teams. So it's like when you bring these Europeans over, they can just get integrated into right away, and then some guys that come up here in the States that are like highly touted and they get to that level, they kind of struggle because they're forced to kind of do things that they've never been asked to do before. And that's essentially just, being able just to be an all-around basketball player.
We were talking before we recorded. I think you were part of what is probably one of the strongest, I would say the best under 16 Irish team we've ever had, but one of the strongest underage teams in terms of where maybe not, the results in the tournament, but where that group have gone to. Like of the
Yeah.
12, 8 of you went to play college basketball, which
Yeah.
is a serious number.
Yeah, I think we're the best. Like selfishly, I think, and especially a lot of us, being late bloomers, it just kind of makes us, very unique in that sense, and it kind of, um, makes us feel like we kind of maybe took that time, together, for granted. Kind of looking back on how we all ended up in these situations in our basketball career so far. And I think we're gonna have the best pros too. Like I think um, when we're all done with college and we all get ended up in professional situations, like we're gonna have the best pros. And I think if Basketball Ireland's smart, they will try their best to really, get all of us back on the same team together, because we'd be very serious, and a lot of, and then we didn't play with guys like Sam, or we didn't play with Max, or like or Aiden, like if we did that, we could be something serious. But that's what that I would say we're the best underage for sure.
For those that don't know, talk us through that 12-man roster for that team. Was it 20? What year was it? 2020,
No, I was 20,
2019?
2019. Yeah,
Yeah.
2019. It was Wede, me.
Oh, and where did you guys end up? Just for for people that don't know your stories, where, and we all know where ND and stuff, but go through the
Yeah,
12. Do you know?
yeah. So Mikey, he ended up going playing at Dominican, which is a D2. I'm at Canisius now. Moby went to K State. ND went to Cal. Then he went to Washington State. Now he's at I want to say
Mississippi,
A&M or Mississippi State.
Mississippi State. Yeah.
Yeah. Ryan Ryan went Division II. Um, who am I missing? Who am I missing here now?
I should actually get the team up as well. I've kind of put you on the spot there with that one. Let
No,
me.
you're good.
Uh, See, this is the problem. There's too many.
There is too many.
Uh,
Is
Ronnie,
Ronnie went to Caldwell, and then he went Division II as well. Ronnie went to school as well. Yeah. Who else on there?
I think I shared the full list someday. I should get that up actually. Anyway, for anyone that doesn't know, you were one heck of a team as a group, but then
Yeah,
individually you've gone on to do great things. Is there
yeah.
still is there a Snapchat or WhatsApp group still going for that team?
No, we haven't all talked as a group in so long. And even like Wede doesn't even play basketball. Like he doesn't he didn't end up playing abroad or whatever, but he could have been another guy on that who could have went as well. Like I haven't heard from Nelson in a minute as well. Like there's like a lot of guys that people don't even know about. Like because where they ended up standing, he ended up playing like a few more, represented Ireland a few more times, but he never just came over. So we haven't all spoke together like in I don't even know how long, but I would say like if we played again like under 18s together, like we probably would have definitely kept in more contact because right after that when we played, we just all went our separate ways, and some of us talked more like um than others, like but me and Moby, we stayed in we me and him we stayed in the most contact.
Yeah. And was there ever an opportunity? I know a lot of you went away. Was there ever an opportunity to reunite at under 18, or was that kind of taken from the opportunity because of AAU or college?
Um we it was like when we ended in under 16, we're like, yeah, we're gonna come back for sure. Like on 18, we're all gonna come back, we're gonna do it. And then when it was time, we would text each other and we'd be like, "Are you going?" He's like, "Nah, I'm gonna stay and train." I'm like, "All right, man, I'm gonna stay and train too." And then we just never got back to it. But I know I've gotten asked to come back and train a couple times. I just never had the time. Um and then I've got asked to do the 3v3 too. I just couldn't fit in my schedule just yet. Especially like in high school as well. Like you're just so focused on the training and getting ready for AAU and stuff. So it was just nonstop. And I just couldn't get myself out of my routine just to come back home. I was just so focused.
Out of interest, just as you bring it up, is 3x3 growing in America? Is that becoming bigger?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't haven't really heard like much people really speak about it like that. I know they always put out a team, but nah, I wouldn't say like it's grown like the way it's grown back in Europe or wherever. But like we'll do it like I know last summer for workouts we were doing a lot of 3v3 FIBA style, but um, nah, I wouldn't say it's grown like that over here.
Okay, interesting. It's just because I think Europe are taking it very seriously compared to the States.
Yeah, yeah.
But I've seen some of their senior 3x3 teams, there's got some
Mhm,
serious college players going.
mhm.
For particularly the women, sorry, last year, like Sarah Strong was there playing against Ireland, and I just thought that was so cool. But
Yeah.
it's just out of interest. That's interesting. Making the move to America,
Mhm.
a little bit different for you, having been there a lot, having family there. But that obviously played a big factor.
Yeah, it definitely played a big factor in terms of me like adjusting to the lifestyle, but adjusting to the fact that I've left, my family and coming over to just a whole different style of basketball, like nothing can prepare you for that, and I'll have you questioning if you really want to do this very, very, very quick, and I probably say like that first month was a very hard month for me, just because I just again just thought, it was gonna be a smooth transition. But with anything, like adversity is always gonna hit. And that adversity, hit very, very quick and taught me, certain skills like to deal with that adversity. And I learned, very, very early that I was blessed to have a very great support system around me around that time. Even just my family in New York that I was living with, like they were just the best for me, and it was just honestly the best thing that could have ever happened to me was ended up in that situation specifically. So, um, but the adjustment is not going to be easy. But if you stick to it, like it can happen. You just gotta just keep going, and my support system just always just reminded me, you just gotta just keep going, just keep showing up every single day, just continue, just trust that process. Like that's it.
What's the difference in style of basketball between Europe and America? Your experience?
The I would say, especially being in New York, just the competitiveness in terms of just how real it is, like how gritty it is. Like you can't be out there and be soft. Like that's for sure. Like you can't be out there and be scared, because once they find that out, like they're gonna expose that, and that style of basketball, like is unique to New York alone, So, um, and I would say, like athleticism, you know, skill level. I mean, because I never really got to play in the major areas in Europe. I was only in Ireland, so the skill levels was also different too. And um, the athleticism is a big piece, and I learned that early, and I worked on that tremendously. So that's also a big piece, also.
Do your friends at home in Kildare, and people in Ireland that don't really know basketball, and some even the ones that do know basketball, do they really understand, what you've achieved and where you've gotten?
I don't know. Um, I don't know if they understand like the magnitude of it, and how slim of a percent chance of somebody um, coming up from where where I grew up, like ends up in a situation like this. Like it's pretty unique, and um, it's just a blessing that I'm grateful for every single day, because a lot of people will work hard and might not be in this situation, and that's just a lot of things just got to go right, and sometimes a lot of things got to go wrong for you to end up in the perfect situation. And I wouldn't say the situation is perfect, but like I'm just super thankful, and I know like some of them, understand it, but if you don't really know basketball like that much, there's only so much you can understand, or if you haven't really, you know, um, done something like this, you can only know so much, and I always, give people around me grace that don't really like understand it as much, um, but yeah, for sure. Like I never really thought about that, but yeah.
What's it like? I'm just trying to think of, being in the high school system and navigating recruiting and everyone trying to get to the next level. And obviously, you're trying to win in high school and win games. Just the balance of being a team player, but making sure that you play your own game. How did you balance that?
You gotta learn that quick, especially if you're playing AAU and you're trying to get looked at. Um, how do you balance, being a great teammate and trying, go get yours, quote unquote. I would just say just focus on winning. Like if your mind is just, set on winning, you're always focused on the present play. You don't really gotta understand that there's a balance. You got to just play basketball the right way, and play basketball to win, So if you really want to win the game, you're going to try your best to get the stop, or you're going to try get your best to get that rebound or get that block or get that steal. And then on the offensive end, like when you get the ball, make the right decision, you know, being aggressive to score. Like when you get the ball, like think score, because when you're thinking scoring, you're thinking being aggressive, then other things open up. When you try to get to the basket, defense collapses. You can hit your teammates open, then you get assists naturally, or if you're aggressive going to the basket, you're getting fouled, you're going to the free throw line, you're generating points for the team to win, while adding to your own stats. So if you're just thinking, oh, crashing the offensive glass, trying to get an offensive rebound, get fouled and one, like those are all ways like that. Like in a basketball game, like things can stack up on your own stat sheet, in the box score, but if you're focused on helping the team win, it'll just come, and when you just put, so much time in your own game individually, when you get in those moments in the games, like everything else will just take care of itself, and just not really worrying about, um, about your own stats or whatever. And you might look up and you have 30 points, you might have 20, like, but that's just if your intent is focused towards winning, then that's how you find that balance.
Yeah. You've got a very mature way about you. like, when did you learn even that thought process around the game? Was there mentors, or just was experience, or how did you learn that?
Oh, it was definitely the people around me. Like when I moved, to New York, the family I was living with, um, the assistant coach of Lawrence Woodmere, like, I was living with him, and we're only 10 years apart. Like I call him my brother. His name's Cody, and um, was living with him and his mom and dad and his sisters, and like they're literally my family. So being around them, I learned so much so fast, and being around him, like he's taught me um, so much things. He would always tell me like the fastest way to success is maturity. The fastest you can mature is the fastest way you're gonna succeed in anything in life. And he would always preach that to me. Especially when I came over, I wasn't as mature. Maybe even sometimes now I don't show the most mature moments. But he would always, remind me of that, and he always held me to a certain standard. When I first came over, he asked me, what I wanted to achieve with this game, and I told him, and he always held me to that standard, and he's never held me anywhere less. So um, I would definitely say that, and just going through experiences, trying to achieve things, with this game. If you really want to be the best, or if you really want to get to achieve that goal that you have set for yourself, you gotta study, and you gotta learn, and you gotta, be a student of the game, and you gotta understand how, the guys who have laid the blueprint out have, thought about the game, and have thought about, winning and being successful and winning championships, and being a leader and all them things. You got to study how they approach those things. And when you consume that, when you learn that, kind of becomes second nature. So I would say a mix of just support system, studying, and just my own personal experiences for sure.
Recruiting. Even you mentioned it there earlier. You touched on, UMBC. You
Mhm.
thought you were going there, and then things changed. You go, just, you've got a very different path to many. And what I love about doing this is you hear of all the different paths, and as you say, sometimes you have to go maybe the wrong place, or you have to go around the world to get the perfect situation.
Yeah.
Talk us through your recruiting, going from high school to college level. Talk us through that.
Yeah. No, for sure. When I was in high school, I was very under recruited, because COVID kind of put us in a tough situation, and I never really had the chance to be on the AU circuit like early in high school because it just wasn't around because of quarantine and all that stuff. So by the time I was going into my last year at St. John's the Baptist, that school I transferred to after Lawrence Woodmere, I really was only getting recruited by Division threes, and while that was, wasn't my goal for me, I was always very grateful. That was my first ever college visit. I took a visit to St. Joe's in Long Island. It's a Division three out there. Took a visit there. I entertained all that recruitment, but deep down, I always wanted to go Division one, and that was always that goal for me. And even a couple D2s didn't want to recruit me around that time, and I just knew like what I can do, and um, I spoke to my family, and we decided that I was going to transfer to Combine Academy. So I decided that maybe in like April of 2022, and I came down there, and I played in like a little spring tournament with them, and I had a good time out there. I was very comfortable in my decision, and with that summer, I had AAU coming up, and I was just like, I'm gonna. I wrote my goals out after that previous season ended because I wanted to win Player of the Year that year in that Catholic League, and I didn't win it. And I ended up writing some goals out, and one of them, was getting multiple Division One offers by the end of that summer, and I just focused on just working extremely hard that summer. Like it was up until that point, it was the hardest summer in terms of how much I worked and how much I was just around the game, and I would do a lot of my working out early in the day, and then during the day I would take the train from Long Island to go to Queens, and I would my AU coach would take me around, and I'll go play at different parks, and I'll go to different park tournaments and playing outside and just playing all the time. And I was just getting better and better and better, and I was getting stronger and all them things. And um, come AAU, I started to get a little bit of buzz, and I didn't end up getting any offers. But going into July is a big month, for AAU. It's all them live periods and all the college coaches that come out. And I didn't play on a big AAU team either. None of the EYBL teams, any of them teams wanted me. So I played with Rising Stars, and they gave me that opportunity to play, and they trusted me to play my game, and I had a great month. And I think before my first offer, we were playing in the championship in Spooky Nook, and we were playing Team Takeover because they was getting ready for Peach Jam, and we played Team Takeover, and I gave them
Who
45.
would who would they have had on that team, just for context for the listeners?
Um, I don't. Their team. I want to say they're. I don't know where they're based out of. I want to say maybe Maryland. Um, but they had a couple guys go to like big schools out of there. Like they had a few Power Five guys go out of that team. But
Okay,
um,
okay. But
I,
they were EYBL. Sorry, I cut across you there as you were
yeah,
telling us how well you played. Sorry.
yeah, no, you're good. No, like I think that game I had like 45 against them, and we beat them, and after then I got my first offer from UNBC right after the game, and then that same day I got I want to say Stony Brook, and I got Maine, and then the next day Penn State called. So like my life changed pretty quick after that tournament. And like a funny story is like the night before the championship game, me and my teammates, we were like messing around at the hotel by the pool, and I slipped into the pool with a phone in my pocket, and my phone got destroyed. So I'm getting all these phone calls from the schools, but I can't answer them because my phone is broken. And my AU coach got to tell them like his phone is broken. You got to just call his house phone. So they were calling like the people I was staying with in Long Island. They were calling their house phone. So I was answering all the college calls from all these schools on the house phone like all day for like the next 2 3 days. I was just on the phone all day answering calls, and um, it just happened very, very quick. And I had, you know, um, an opportunity to skip out on my year at combine and go straight to college, but I already made that commitment to them. And, I decided to go to combine and to play against, the competition there. And I got a lot better over there too, because I'm playing against guys who have these Power Five offers, and I'm
Because
getting more offers. Huh?
Combine is an academy for those that don't know. It's kind of like a prep school type place.
Yeah, yeah. They got like a national team, they got, a regional team, they got post grad, like they got a whole bunch of teams. So, um, and then they do like these college workouts where college coaches from all around the country they come and they just watch us play pickup. And I was playing really well there, and I picked up a lot of buzz, and a lot of schools I never thought would call my phone, were calling my phone. And but I ended up making, my decision early, and committed to UNBC because they, were recruiting me, first, and they were recruiting me, very hard at the time. Um,
Am I right in thinking they were just off a bit of an NCAA run at the
yeah,
time?
yeah, a few years before that, and then even this year they made it to the tournament, like, and got Ace Valentine. He was on that team. He was somebody that we were in the same recruiting class, so we would have been there together. But um, I ended up decommitting from them a few months after that, after my commitment, and reopened my commitment again, my recruitment, I mean. And during that time, I ended up hurting my knee, and it kind of, still some schools were still recruiting me, bringing me out on visits, but I was hurt and I couldn't really do much in workouts and stuff. So we made it, the best decision to, not go Division I right away, and I opened up my recruitment to JUCOs, and I had almost every JUCO in the country call my phone, and I knew nothing about the schools and the coaches and stuff. So I kind of was really overwhelmed with the situation, and then having to deal with getting knee surgery, and then uh, I decided to go to Ellsworth in Iowa because that's where Moby was. So I knew somebody there, and I grew a very strong relationship with Coach Bender very quick. And my brother Cody in New York, he was comfortable with the decision. We made that decision, and it was a great decision for me.
So you actually overlapped with Moby for a year, was it?
Huh?
Did you overlap with Moby for a year, or was he
Yeah.
just gone?
No,
Okay.
no, no, no. We were on the same team. We were on the same team. He was
Wow.
there for a year before me, like a few months before me. He redshirted that first year, and then we played on the team together. That was like the reason why I wanted to go there, and we knew that, if we went there and we did what we did, like we believe we could have won everything, and then we go to just went to school right after. So, and that's actually what we did. So.
How hard was it to decide, as a player, with the games you were having at AAU level, 45 points against these big teams and being heavily recruited? How hard was it to make that decision of, I'm a D1 level player, but I'm gonna wait?
Yeah, it was that was just a rough, like, year for me, just coming off everything that I work hard for, and, to kinda have that, um, feeling like, "Damn, I gotta wait again," and I gotta go through something, again. So it was hard for me, to deal with that. I relied a lot, on my faith. I relied a lot, on people, around me. I think that's just such a big thing for anybody trying to be successful is the people that they keep around them. And they were you know just so great for me at the time, and always talking to my mom back home. She would always know the right things to say to me. So um and I just kind of just accepted and realized this is just what it is. And now I have the opportunity to do something special again, and it's all about, looking around to see if there's a blueprint anywhere else, and I took a lot of inspiration from Jimmy Butler around that time because he went to JUCO and he had a great career there, and then he went to Marquette and then the league or whatever. So I kind of just wanted to, emulate, his blueprint, just, decide to go there and just work hard. Like I worked so hard when I was at JUCO, and I believe, my work ethic, trying to get, my knee back 100%, to get back in shape, to work off the injury weight, to get back in time for the season and to play, you know, um and get back acclimated to playing at my level. And then even though I wouldn't say I was ever 100% that season, but I still had like a phenomenal season. And I just owe that just to, the people, around me. But, the work is what will, like, you'll be able to achieve anything if you just put that work in.
A lot of people say they work hard, and I'm just interested. What does it actually mean to work hard? What does that mean to you?
Um, I would say, like, it just means, like, doing, the things that nobody else wants to do, even when you don't even want to do it. Like most of the time you're working hard, you don't even want to do it for real, but once you really, understand, like, what you're doing, you're not going to see the results right away. And when you get that first taste of putting, a lot of work in and seeing the results, like 6 months, 8 months, maybe years down the line, like, that's what really gets you, hooked to that delayed gratification. um but working hard is discipline. It's sacrifice, but you got to just love it, and if you really love it, like, it's not even gonna feel like, working hard. It's just, your routine. It's just, what you do, and once you can also find that balance of it's just what you do, it's not who you are, you'll be able to always, be at peace mentally, knowing that um it's not gonna drain you. You don't want it to drain you. It's just the work, it's just the process, it's just what has to be done in order to achieve something that's bigger than yourself.
Mm. Is that hard to separate? You said it there. It's what you do, not who you are. When you are in the situation of a scholarship is on the line, you're trying to go D1, and when you are D1, you want to stay D1, or at any level in college, you want to stay there. Is that hard because the pressure's on and you're trying to keep that identity piece separate from, from a basketball player and you as a person?
Yeah, it is hard. Like it's hard, and a lot of people don't can't even really achieve that because they don't think it's possible, or they don't think that they'll be able to get to where they want to be if they can separate the two, But I think it's really essential to separate the two, if you want to get to where you say you want to get to, because you need to be able to do something that is not basketball, or be around something that's not basketball and really enjoy it just as much, like Mike like playing golf, or you know Kobe like storytelling, or like people like you got to have something that you like to do on the side, or some guys in the league they like Legos, you know what I mean, or I have friends that like watching anime, like things like that, or some like making music. Like those things are just important, just to understand that, like, yeah, like I love basketball, but this is just what I do, and when you understand this is what you do, you don't bring work home with you. You can still, like, eventually one day, like, we're going to be fathers, we're Cooper's gonna be mothers too. Like you can't bring that home, and you have kids at home, so you got to be able just to understand that there's got to be, a work-life balance, and then that's how you can sustain longevity in this.
So are you out in the golf course, is it? What are you doing?
Me, I like watching movies, but I'm not on the golf course yet. I Trust me though, I will be though.
Are you going to be like LeBron, as stiff as anything trying to swing a golf club?
Nah, I would be like Mike. That's what I'm trying to be like. I'm trying to be nice, Nah, I'm trying to be nice at golf when I play.
Well, I think Steph Curry is better than Michael Jordan. Like I don't think people realize how good of a golf player he is.
Yeah, Steph's crazy. Steph's crazy. So is Austin Reeves. This is like and
Is
Jason
he?
Tatum. Yeah, Austin Reeves is crazy at golf too. Like,
Okay, right.
yeah, there's a handful of guys in the league that are getting into golfing.
Okay, right. You got to get you back to the K Club.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, I'm telling you, when I'm back home, like you gotta give me a little year. I gotta get decent. I gotta have, some sort of a swing.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. No, I love that. What so JUCO coming out of that,
Hmm.
end up at UNCG.
Yeah,
Talk us through, how did you get there, deciding, and just, I think it's important for the listeners, particularly for the kids in Ireland,
yeah,
like what does it actually mean to go through that process and decision making?
yeah. I think, being at JUCO, like when you try to think about, being a good teammate and trying to get yours, is that's as real as it gets. Everybody is trying to get theirs, and if I was to give advice to somebody going to JUCO, I'd be like, listen, like don't pass it as much as you think you should pass. Like you should really, also, very like much think aggressive, because in order to be seen, you got to put up them numbers, and because there's only gonna be a handful of guys that will get picked from this pool to go play Division I, especially competing with a transfer portal. Like you gotta separate yourself, and me and Mo, we played at Division II JUCO. You know what I mean? Like we didn't even go to Division I JUCO. Like we went to Division II JUCO, so we had to even do more to even be seen. And what we all thought, like, together as a team, was what made our team special that year, was if we won a championship, we'll all get what we want, and we all just focused on that. And thinking about winning, you have big time performances, and I was able to have a handful of big time performances, and you know make all national tournament team, and to be first team all conference, and you know to win the region tournament MVP. Like I built myself a long resume, going into that portal season, and my goal was to go one and done, and I was able to do that. And right when the season was over, I was getting recruited by a whole lot of schools, and some schools that I wanted to go to wasn't the right fit, maybe stylistically or whatever. But a big thing for me coming out of JUCO was I wanted to go to a place that was winning and had an opportunity to win. Because once you're around that winning culture, that's all you want to be around. and UNCG had that culture. Um, and Coach Brian Stith, who played in the NBA, he was the person who recruited me the most, and me, and his relationship was just instant. I had like no other coach like that was recruiting me. I had a relationship like I had with him, and I still talk to him to this day, and he's somebody that I'll talk to like for the rest of my life, and a couple other coaches on that staff. Um, so their staff was definitely was special, and I wasn't a great defender coming out of JUCO, and they are a defensive school, and that was something I knew I was going to get better at being there. And they had a lot of guys at that school that have gone on to do special things. Especially the my first year there, my sophomore year. I mean, Donovan Atwell's in the NBA draft. Demetrius Davis, he's going to be playing in Turkey in a great league in Turkey. Kenyon Giles just averaged 20 at Wichita State. He's going to be a professional. Ronald Polite, he's another professional. Um, and then in a few more years, we'll have a few more guys out they'll be pros from that team. So um, just being practicing around those guys every single day, I got so much better. Even though I didn't play that much my first year here, but um, the lessons and um, the things that I've learned here are something I would never learn anywhere else.
Mm. When we talk about the love of the game, I think you've gone through like phases of it as well. Again, kind of similar to the what does hard work mean? Like,
Yeah,
what does it mean to actually love the game of basketball? Like, you've been through highs and lows with it.
yeah. I think being able to love the game is are you willing to to endure the suffering that comes with this game. Like everybody sees all the great things that come with this game and the glitz and the glamour, but like this game also comes with a lot of pain too and a lot of heartache. And if you love something, like you will endure anything. Like and I think even if you think as far back as human history, is even like someone like Jesus, like he loved everybody so much that he was able to endure the ultimate suffering, just for the people, because he loves us so much, and it's like if you love, your spouse so much, like you will endure anything with them, because you love that person. And I look at basketball the exact same way, like these past couple years, I've learned that like no matter what, the game throws at me, like I'm not going anywhere. I love this game truly. There's nothing out here that I love more than basketball, and that has always been, a separator for me, for even my competitors. I may not be better than the guys I play with, I'm on my national team, or guys I play with on my JUCO team, or even my college teams, but I really believe nobody loves them more than me, and that's always going to be my separator. And if you really love it, like you'll go through anything for it, and you'll understand that everything is a part of the process, everything is part of the journey, and all you got to do is just not give up, like. And if you don't give up, like you'll achieve what you really want to achieve. So that's what I think what loving the game's all about.
Is there still a double take when people say, you're playing basketball where you're from and you say Ireland? Is there like
Yeah.
you play basketball in Ireland? Is that still happening?
Yeah. Yeah, 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 and, like, I think just the fact that, like, people, like, um, they don't understand that there's people that look like me back home, so it's just like, that's always, their first question, and then after that, just like, "Oh, basketball," and then, and, um, gotta deal with that whole thing. I've been dealing with that for years, so, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think Pat Price put up a really good post in 2020 or 2021 about that group with the under 16, and he just he was saying about inclusion, and that
Yeah,
team really drove that on, and it I think that was really important.
yeah.
When you reach the college level and you do your 1 year, like this year I'm looking here, you had 21 points there in February, but the gap between being in your first year D1 and D2, what changes when you get that experience for you?
Um, I wouldn't say anything, really changes immensely. I would just say the routine of every single day, like the practices are timed, everything is is to the minute, everything is to the second, everything, like is detail orientated. Like there's always just it's just always just a little more emphasis on the details. And then depending on how your coach likes to play, then just focusing on that. And then but you gotta also understand like every day is like during the season, it's just the same routine. It's film, it's practice, it's we gotta scout, we gotta do this. Like it's that same routine every single day. So it can get monotonous at times, especially during the season, a long season at that. And with the travel and dealing with the school and all them things. So um, it's it's definitely a difference, but at the same time, like if you can just allow yourself to think that it's just basketball at the end of the day, like you'll adjust.
Mm. Can you compare your experience in the transfer portal coming out of JUCO versus this year?
Um, yeah, I would say like this year like was just way quicker. Like it was way quicker. JUCO like I was getting a lot of phone calls in JUCO, but they weren't moving as fast as it is now. And like this was my first time really experiencing like the real business side of the transfer portal too. Like, you'll get that first phone call, and they say, "Oh yeah, we're looking for this. We want you to come in, do this, 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 and this. This is the role we see for you. This and the third. This is, and then then we got to deal with the agents and the finances and all them things. Like there's just so much. Like it's like wow, like this is like professional sports, and then it's just like, and then you take your visit and and then you got to deal with contracts and all them things. So it really there's just a pace of everything, and I wasn't somebody who came out with a crazy stat line, So it's just like now if I was to think of for somebody who came out into the portal with a crazy stat line, how that would look, and um it's like free agency in the NBA. That's just really how it is. So there's definitely a difference.
And is that because of the evolution of NIL and the college game, or is it because you were D1 versus JUCO? Does that,
Both,
yeah,
both,
okay,
yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
okay, interesting. And what went into your decision this time?
Um, the opportunity, I would definitely say, you know, being able to show, what can be produced, with given, the right opportunity, was definitely the main thing going into the portal and finding the right basketball situation, for me. And I'm not really making a decision based off other things that don't really matter. And that was always going to be the main thing for me was finding that right place that I can go to and play a style of basketball that suits me and play basketball in an environment that that trusts me to go out there and help the team win.
And are you looking at this decision in terms of obviously you want to maximize your college career, but is this also maybe looking at what's next after college?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think every decision now, like, is got to be, thought about like that also, and even with the fact that I have another year after that, so um, is is definitely definitely divine timing in a sense of that. If business is handled, the right way, which it will be, it is a great platform to do so and to end up, um, putting myself in a better situation, and having the opportunity to genuinely, win the championship in the MAC um, and do something special at a school like Canisius. I think that's also something that intrigues me. Because going into Ellsworth is they didn't win a championship there in like 30 or 40 years. And we were able to go in there and do that. So everywhere I go, like I really want to go in there and win. And win big. So that is also the challenge that I'm looking forward to also.
Yeah. For someone tuning in next year, I'll be sure to share your games as well on socials and stuff, so the Irish crowd can tune in. But when you're going to play for Canisius, give us like what's your style of game? What can we expect?
Definitely an ultimate competitor. Somebody who's going to do whatever whatever it takes to win. Um, I play fast. I play aggressive, and I just play the game simply. I like to take what the defense gives me, and I want to be able to, um, make winning plays every time I touch the basketball. And yeah, that's the main thing. I just want to win.
For anyone listening in Ireland, kids or coaches or people involved in the game, from your experience, what's the most underrated skill in the game? What are we not coaching kids?
Ooh, most underrated. Hmm. I would say, off the top of my head, for a kid coming up, like if they develop this skill early, um, they'll be very, very hard to stop. Is to consistently play off 2 feet in the paint. If you're a young kid and you can, manipulate, like be able to maneuver the game, that you can get 2 feet in the paint and make a decision in the paint consistently, you'll be unbelievably hard to stop because all the best players are able to do that, and even like young guys who have come in the league like a Con Knipple, who's a shooter, but the way he plays off 2 feet in the paint is elite. Jalen Brunson, he plays off 2 feet. He's a smaller guard, and then you have bigger guards like Shea Gilgeous. That's all he does is play off 2 feet, and Cade Cunningham. Like those are those are skills that are just so important because it doesn't take any athleticism. It just takes patience and it just takes being able just to understand the game. And it's not only putting in yourself in position to score, but you're also putting your teammates in position to score. And you're always going to be a threat if you're able to do that. So playing off 2 feet, but definitely play off 2 feet in the paint.
What advice would you give? You left when you were 14, 15. What advice would you give a kid now that's at that age that maybe has an opportunity or is maybe good enough to go? What would you say to them?
Don't compare yourself and just run your own race. Like that's it. Like that's all you have to do is just understand. Like if you don't compare yourself. You don't got to be on social media all the time. You don't have to, look around and what somebody else is doing. Don't look at nobody else's plate and just focus on what you got going on, what you have to do personally. Because if that's what you're focused on, and you're focused on what you got to do to get better every single day, you will end up where you want to end up. And you won't end up where you want to end up if you're focused on somebody else because you're not focused on yourself.
Yeah. That's different from it's gone very social media esque. You haven't really bought into that as much on social media. No, you don't really post much anyway.
Yeah, nah, it's not. It's just not really something that just really interests me because coming up, I've just seen a lot of guys who have been big into that. And then when we get on the court, you're not as good as you say you are on the internet. Like it's just that just kind of throws me off. So I just like just to focus on the most important piece, and that's the basketball piece. But also, when you get to a certain point and you got to do, certain things in terms of building your own brand, then that's something else. But until like you have earned the right to even have a brand, you got to be able um, to be a good basketball player first. And if you're focused on what you're posting on the gram, like you're not really focused on what you're trying to do to be the best basketball player you can be.
Who's the best player you've played against?
Best player I played against. Mm, Best player I played against. Mm, mm, I would say Quadir Copeland when I played against him in the summer a few years ago. I thought he was very good. And then when I played against him, we played at NC State. I think he's an underrated one. Like I play against pretty known guys, like I play against like Aiden Holloway and PJ Haggerty and guys like that. But I think Quadir Copeland is, he's very good. Um, and I would say, but like the best player, like I've probably seen that nobody knows is well some guys in New York would know him. His name is Chitty. I came up playing with him. He's older than me, and he was easily like the most talented basketball player I've seen, to this day. Um, at that time. So he was crazy. But I've seen so many guys, but off the top of my head right now, like yeah, Quadir, he one of them ones for sure.
What separates the really good ones from the rest? What is it? And
Um,
every because everyone there is an like my
yeah,
understanding of the game and seeing a bit like in America they're all athletes, so it can't be
yeah,
really athleticism unless they're a LeBron, they're a freak.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I would just say their ability just to do like other things that affect winning. Like Quadir, like he'll have a stat line where he'll have like 7 points, but he'll have like 13 assists and 11 rebounds. Like, that's a crazy stat line, and like you have a box plus minus a plus 21. Like those are things that, are impressive. Like if you're able to do, things that lead to winning, day in and day out. That's what really separates you because a lot of people can go out there and go get stats, you know, but not everybody can go out there and win or really, when you have this guy on your team, you know for a fact that you have a high chance of winning the basketball game.
Mm. What 10 years time? I give you a call. Hopefully you pick up the phone. Where do you want to be and what do you want to be doing?
Playing in the NBA, playing in the NBA, being the first from where I'm from to be accomplished in those things, and yeah, and still making impact, still trusting the process, still going, but definitely playing in the NBA.
Is the Irish team? You've hinted at it earlier. It's that's in the plan or the want anyway. You want to go back and play for Ireland at some point.
Yeah, that would be an honor, to play, at the senior level, and get the guys, all back together and to actually, genuinely, try go like achieve something, and if that's not the priority, if that's not the goal, then I don't, what I mean, I don't really want to do anything, halfway in, like if we're all ready to really try, make some history and do something happen, for the country, like I'm 100% game.
Love it. Well, hopefully we can get you back, and we'll get you down to the K Club as well, hitting a few
Yeah,
balls.
work away swing.
I'm going to move on to the sideline seven. Question one, Clinton, your favorite quote?
um Oh, as a quote I said earlier, the fastest way to success is maturity. That's my favorite quote.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to rob that from you as well. Question two, best sporting event you've been to? Pick one as a fan and one as a player.
One as a fan, probably go see KD live, his first game for Phoenix in Charlotte. That was crazy. As a player, I'd probably say my first year at UNCG when we played at Indiana. That atmosphere was rocking. That was a crazy experience. Like the way just the arena, like the arena was, and the atmosphere it was nuts. Like it was crazy. I'll say that off the top of my head. Yeah.
Is that, in terms of giving the insights for the listeners at home, is that the biggest kind of school or arena you've played at?
Probably, probably that was, and it's just a legendary gym. Like it's crazy. Like so much history in that building.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Question three, biggest setback or challenge so far in your career, and how did you react to it?
I'll probably say these past 2 seasons of college basketball are probably the hardest things I probably had to deal with, and it's probably made me realize that it forced me to realize that it would develop certain skills that I would never been able to have being able to develop if I wasn't in this situation. I think it forced me to, be the ultimate professional, like no matter what, no matter how you feel, no matter how the last game went, always show up the next morning, putting in that work. You don't know when your number is going to be called, but when your number is called, you better be ready to do your job and execute every single possession. Um, and just being able just to um, just endure, just that, just and being able to develop patience, So I would definitely say that.
I meant to ask you earlier, what's the biggest misconception about college basketball, being a college basketball player?
That it's all sunshine and rainbows all the time, that it's just great, that, we're Division I athletes and, um, we have all these privileges and all these things, but all the things they come with a price, and it's not easy, and a lot of sacrifices have to be made, and especially if you want to separate yourself from everybody else, because we're the 1%, of the 1%. But if you want to be the 1% of that 1%, like you gotta, do things that other people, don't want to do and sacrifice and do these things. So um, it's not all sunshines and rainbows for sure.
100%. A flip side, your biggest achievement in or outside of sport?
Um, I want to say I haven't accomplished that yet. I want to say ask me that in a year. Let's get back in the year and ask me that.
Okay, I'll give you a call in a year. So,
Yeah.
advice to your 18-year-old self?
Um, just continue just to trust the process wholeheartedly. Don't be so attached to outcomes and results, and just understand that it's already written, and no matter what is thrown your way, just keep going. That's all you got to do is just keep going.
Dream dinner guest and why?
Kobe, for sure. Like he's my goat, So to have a dinner with him and be able to pick his brain and just to ask or talk about stories or whatever the case may be from his career, like that would be crazy. I would definitely say Kobe.
Amazing. Final question. If your life was a book, which someday I think it should be, what chapter would this be called?
uh I would I would say, since I like movies, I'll probably say like The Breakthrough, like in terms of like, have you ever seen like The Dark Knight Rises, when Bruce Wayne, he's in that pit and he's climbing out the pit. Um, and it's about to get to the climax of the movie, but it's just that last part right before, that happens is like the breakthrough, like that act in the storytelling. So I would definitely say that.
Seeing as you're a movie buff, who would play you in a movie about your life? Who would you
Oh
pick as an actor?
man. Oh man, that's crazy. I don't even
I
know.
told you, you mentioned how you love movies, so I'm putting you on the spot.
On the spot, if we could, get Damson Idris a little taller, you know what I mean? You could play me, why not? Older version of me, Idris Elba, older version of him, Denzel, you know what I mean? Why not? You know?
Clinton, before I let you go, I do want to ask, who do I need to get on the podcast? And if you do suggest someone, you need to help me get them on. Who should I get on?
ND,
Oh yeah, I've been on to him loads. ND, that's
ND,
I'm waiting. I'm here.
ND. I will reach out to ND and I will make sure that he gives you episode.
Deadly. I'm only slagging him. I've been in touch with ND a couple of times about stuff. But come here, best of luck with next year and beyond. Looking forward to keeping up with your journey. And
Appreciate
thanks
it.
a million for your time.
Yes, appreciate you.
And that is it for today's episode of the Sideline Live podcast. A huge thank you to our guest for sharing their story, insights, and experiences with you, the audience. If you did enjoy the episode, please do leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, as it does help the show grow. If you are interested in more content and information or hearing from upcoming guests, you can follow our social medias at The Sideline Live, which are linked in the description box of the episode. If you do have any guest suggestions or topics you would like to have covered, you can send us a message on social media or email thesidelinelive@gmail.com. Thank you for listening, and I'll catch you in the next one.